Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4. What are the mods called? The New Order. Welcome back. So, we currently have troops committed to Indonesia, and we're slowly moving our way to getting the Civil Rights Act actually passed. Smoothing the wrinkles. Greenland has something of a headache for the State Department, one which Sullivan was better understanding as he approached his tasks concerning the country, the colony, pseudo-colony. That in itself highlighted the problem. It wasn't as though Greenland was an empty plot of lands. There were people there, even if they weren't many of them. At the same time, things weren't exactly codified, and the people really hadn't had a choice in permitting the American presence not. All the same, that in Sullivan's view, made Greenland their responsibility, a sentiment which also applied to some members of the press who turned attention to it. The New York Times and a few smaller papers had run several stories on the state of American management in Greenland, and it wasn't flattering. Apathy, incompetence, and mismanagement were highlighted in embarrassing detail, and the country's questionable relevance and the high unemployment were only worsening the picture. Thus, he had been tasked with addressing the concerns. The good news was that it wasn't difficult to determine some solutions. Fishing was the only industry that had established enough to alleviate some of the issues, which would suffice. He planned to propose a larger expansion of the industry to not only ease unemployment, but also make it more relevant to American interests beyond a glorified military base. At the same time, the numbers were quite clear. This wouldn't bear fruit for years to come, and required a sustained American investment. The most immediate impact was going to be assuaging concerns the United States was doing something positive for the country, and for now, that would have to be enough. Are these mountains? Yeah, so that's one reason why our units are not doing that well, is because the mountains obviously suck. Ventilated well. If you heard jet overheads in Indonesia, you would have dropped to the deck and held your breath. If you were lucky, you'd still be breathing air for a minute later. If you weren't, then you were stuck with whatever you had in your lungs, as the oxygen in your air would combust or be displaced by stirring vapors. If you're lucky, you might pass out and die, instant. But heat, the roaring flames unleashed by napalm, igniting buildings and bones alike, that would be more difficult. Anyone would want to scream as they felt their skin burst and blacken to expose the cooking flesh inside. But if they did, they might roast from the inside out, or choke on the noxious fumes. No. All the residents of a Sumatran village, military worthless until an arbitrary shift in the line of contact, could do was hold their breath and run. Run away from streets ablaze and scorched alleyways, towards colder and cleaner air in the wooden outskirts. They discovered, as they streamed out from the hellish prison in the bloody Mango Line, that sufficient ventilation brought them relief. Like, okay, we've been here for like 5 minutes. We're already doing more war crimes. You know what? That, to me, means we need to do some more war crimes. Okay. So if you scroll down to small-scale bombardment, what is this region called that we're currently moving our way into? This is Lumpong. Okay. So which one of you does not control West Christmas Island, Jakarta, Central Java, East Java, Lumpong? Let's do some small-scale bombardments here. So Japan, yeah, they do have volunteers. But I'm assuming, yeah, they can only do like one country as we could. Malice towards none. Okay, so it's time for us to actually look at what these do. We do not have enough votes to pass this legislation. We are not in crisis. How many votes do we have? We have 55 votes in total. We have 55 Senate votes. Popularities, Senate. Where can I actually see the vote numbers? We're leader of the free world, organized free nations, the voting GUI. I'm not too sure actually where we can see, like, how many votes do we have to pass legislation? Because apparently we don't have them yet. So, I mean, if that's the case, tenuous and prone to faltering, I'm guessing we need, like, an overwhelming majority. So, put a foot in the door. Many within the Progressive Caucus considering the Democrats to be our natural allies in the fight for civil rights, separated from us only by party lines. Negotiating with Senator Johnson is crucial for guaranteeing the act's passage. This means a stable coalition that will advance and safeguard the civil rights for all Americans, And for that alone, compromise is worth the backlash the administration may receive from within the NPP. Or, the NPP cannot pass the Civil Rights Act at the current state, and the White House knows it. In fact, our opponents are hedging their bets precisely on our awareness as we speak. Some of the president's indecision feeds into perception of weakness, and for now, such a confined to the fringes of popular opinion. Rather than let it spread any further, our policy planners have crafted a daring proposal to release a draft of the Civil Rights Act so extensive as to draw the outrage and ire of everyone but the most progressive Americans. The administration can scale it back to be more palatable say afterwards, and in doing so, cultivate the image that of the compromise and level-headedness for the president himself. It's a highly risky proposition, least of all for the president's ratings, but one that also presents high rewards. Should the game at work, then Congress will be unwittingly agreed to the version of the act that we want. Refine the bill on most pressing issues, and name of bipartisanship. We should try to create the Democrats' favor by working alongside legislation. The National Progressive PAC grows a little bit more unified. That seems good. One last push, hand in hand. Okay, so I'm assuming it's because we didn't do a pact above all, we cannot do the march straight forward. Sideline the Dixiecrats. This path will strengthen the Civil Rights Act and get us few votes at the risk of angering the nationalist. Okay. Thing is, I don't know if we want to do this. Because again, we want to make sure... Slam the door in their faces. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter which one of these that we do. I don't know. The Dixiecrats will trust us less if we go through with this. And then this is, it is going to, like, break the NPP at least a little bit, which I don't think we want to do. Most pressing issues, one last push. Let's open the door. Let's not risk it. Let's not risk it. I know we spent a lot of time kind of mulling over that, but if we shut the door in their face, we're going to be looking like we might be too radical, and I don't want to do that for the reason that people have said in the comments, which is if we look too liberal, we might get assassinated, and I want to try to avoid that fate if possible. Reports on the status of Colombia. Escalation of new skirmishes in Colombia suggests a full resumption of hostilities in the country. That particular area of fighting provides a potential to secure a port for military aid and our allies. Full-scale warfare is broken out in the northern Colombia between the government, the fascist state of New Granada, and our allies in the Colombian Revolutionary Union. Said department is home to a large port, which would help supply our partners with material aid. Such material aid would help them someday control the entirety of the country and establish a friendly regime in the state. Furthermore, the potential acquisition of the department and its port of New Granada, or the retention of the central government, could provide advantages for our enemies in Asia and Europe. Additional armaments and supplies through friendly Venezuela are prepared for transportation to help our allies in their aim to secure control. Okay. Colombia. Colombia. Train special troops. We have so much equipment, so we'll 25 political power. Let's apply their forces. We'll do that for now. Again, I want to make sure we're not overcommitting to any one front, because I don't want to have everything collapse around us. Okay, so we will be able to push in this province. Maybe we can try to swing around to this area here. For 94, 95, 97. Hold your position. One of you will move your way to Palembang, which might... Are you different? You're the same people. Okay. I want to see if we can get maybe an encirclement going. Okay. Hold your position there. 75. Improved emergency production technology. Excellent. And then we can go... What was the other one? It's on the other side of the tech. It is better nuclear reactors. Sure, why not? I might want to send some troops up north as well. But by God, is it a little messy. 75, 79. If we can move our way to take Jakarta, I would have to imagine that would be really nice for us. Does it take over in Colombia? So we have the Colombian Revolutionary Union, which is allied to us. We've got the Republic. So New Granada is allied. Second Patriotic Army. I don't know which one of these is aligned with Germany. Maybe two of them are. Infiltrate the Colombian government. So you're actually not friendly towards us. You're friendly to Iberia. Ah, okay. Now I understand. 78, 79. You are going to lose your... Who are you? You are the Prim Military Council. You're at 35. You're holding on relative... I mean, our allies suck. They're just really, really bad. Which is a major... How are you guys doing elsewhere? Honestly, like, not good. 24. I mean, you're holding on somewhat. Formation of the West African Alliance. Oh, wait. Okay, I want to take a quick look at it. Are you guys? Are you all stable? Low stability in East Africa. Okay. Promote napalm use. I mean, that seems like a little much, don't you think? Pull out of Africa. Authorize napalm use. So what do we need for East African? We need 5% more. We need 35 command power. I mean, we could divert attention to the military for 50. Which would... I don't want to bomb them with napalm. That seemed maybe a little bit too much. 45 political power. Do you give me any political power? No. Let's divert attention to the military. When will you be done? Be done in 7 days. I don't like it, but there's only so much that we can do. Hold your position. Can I victory point rush to Jakarta? Random questioning. Queuing at the security checkpoints scattered throughout the cities was an hour-long affair, to such an extent that the Indonesians in line wondered if anyone would be able to let through. The line snaked forward for a minute increments, giving observers enough time to observe their surroundings. They all saw the sergeant taking a double, then triple take at a couple crossing the threshold of the checkpoint, before yelling at them to halt and raise their hands. Some soldiers whipped towards the couple, raising their rifles towards the two, shakingly obeyed. Another soldier told everyone to step back, shouting suicide vest over the disgruntled groans of the crowd. The man was roughly patted down, every single appendage squeezed and manhandled, before he was thrust to the ground and held at gunpoint. The woman was offered no more delicacy, though she was offered the decency of an inspection inside of a checkpoint booth. The crowd pretended not to hear her crying in humiliation. Tell us where you came from. The sergeant's fist smacked into the detained man's face with a sickening crunch. Tell us who you live with. The rifle butt slammed into the man's stomach, doubling him over. Tell us everything. The crowd seized as the two soldiers grabbed the man by his armpits, dragged him into a waiting van, and the wailing woman beside him. They watched the van sped away to the distance behind the lower bayonets of the checkpoint guards. Okay, you guys are doing fine. All things considered, I mean, the Prim Military Council might collapse, but it's hard to tell. Give you some support. We've gotten the belly butt burster. Don't think about it too much. Okay, so we want to go then to foreign policy into intelligence. Follow that up with pigeon cameras. Pigeons are cool. We love pigeons. We are a pro pigeon YouTube channel, okay? Don't you forget it. Free production units. What do I want my production units to do? The great question. I guess I go more civilian factories. Go up to 110 on that bad boy. Okay, just want to make sure that you stop attacking. We have lost control of this guy, so let's pull back a little bit. $74, $78. Am I doing something stupid? The answer is like almost certainly. They put a foot in the door. In the name of bipartisanship, I want to get the NPP to be a little bit stronger. The door stands ajar. Did I click on this button by accident? Time's finally come to discuss civil rights on a national level. Our new Civil Rights Act is not as comprehensive as it could be, yes, but it's almost guaranteed support for the more liberal Democrats, which more radical legislation might not have been. Plus, we most likely can count on support from the modern Democrats if we treat them with a certain level of respect. And when it comes to civil rights, we will most certainly need every iota of support that we can muster. With this bill, we stand ready to help Americans live up to the dream of a free nation where all are guaranteed life, liberty, in the pursuit of happiness. The only real roadblock is the so-called brilliant minds and the wonderful, colorful personalities of Congress, especially from the patriot to the nationalist. We owe to Americans of all races, colors, and creeds to do our damnedest, do our damn hardest to get this act passed, and to create a nation where we can finally say that everyone is created equal. We've certainly got our work cut out for us, but it's a worthwhile work indeed. A moderate bill is the only one that we can hope to pass. Okay, so we have our points here. I then want to go to conflicts, mandates, East Africa. 35 points on you. You'll be ready in 15 days. 75, 76. 50 points. I want to attack, but, you know, I realize it's probably not going to work out the way I think it will. They're actually almost at the capital, too. So actually, I need you to move here immediately. Indonesia, this revolt sucked. A request from Angola. We received a request from the leadership of the OFN government in Angola for additional funding to be put to use improving the administration of the mandate and to invest in the economy. This will, they say, improve their ability to manage the region and move Angola closer to independence. The amount of money requested is relatively small and probably would move us closer to finally being able to put our involvement in Africa behind us. Furthermore, our leading position within the OFN does imply that we should be a source of this kind of support. And we certainly are in a position to finance it. Yes. I don't care about the debt. We'll do that. How's the economy actually looking right now? Inflation's going down. GDP is looking good. We only have a negative 0.17 GDP deficit, which is fine. I mean, it's looking good, I would say. I need you to pull back. Jean Kirkpatrick congratulates Italy on its first elections. In a recent commentary article, Georgetown political analyst has congratulated the Italian Empire on holding successful elections, following sweeping democratic reforms. The formerly fascist nation held its first election in decades. While the results still remain to be seen, Kirkpatrick claims that the democratization attempts by former Duce Glazio Sienio have been successful. Kirkpatrick, who has always advocated for more diplomatic relations between the United States and the Italian Empire, welcomes the nation back to the democratic world stage, saying that America welcomes an old and hopefully new ally in the fight against fascism. While the newly democratic nation has not announced any formal attempts to align itself or ally with the United States of America or the Organization of Free Nations, Kirkpatrick encourages the conversation to begin, claiming that Italy would provide a crucial bulwark against fascism and Nazism in the soft underbelly of Europe. Many people, however, argue that Italy's democratization process still has a long way to go, citing the prevalence and popularity of the neo-fascist and crypto-fascist parties immediately after the reforms were announced. Kirkpatrick calls the existence of such parties and movements growing pains, and promises that the nation will soon move past them and remove any latent totalitarian remnants. Okay, we have research slots. What do we want to get? You know what, 68 rifles? Fuck it, why not? Let's get that going. And for you, our prison system is like still not great. So let's build one in California, one in Texas, one in Georgia, and one in New York. And what about the mandate? Everybody is still looking stable. I don't want to like napalm everybody though. Like that seems like a mess. By the way, I think we're fucked. Victory for the right-wing coalition. The right-wing coalition, the Blocchi Nazionali, has managed to secure a majority of seats in parliament. Former journalist and PNF politician Giorgio Armati is chosen as the new prime minister in the country. Okay, so you are paternalist, but you're not fascist. So I have to imagine that's a net positive for us. Can you please pull back so I can go to the capital? How many, like... I honestly don't know how we would have any chance of possibly winning in Indonesia. Like, it just seems like a complete mess. Like, we just have way less units. So I think we just have to admit that Indonesia's lost. We won Africa to lose Indonesia, and honestly, I guess that's a kind of a fair trade, all things considered. Superseding circumstances. The crowd has already been gathering for several hours outside of the police station by the time the foreign colonel arrived. The police straining to hold their cordon as the officers hurried inside. Everyone knew that it happened. The city, far behind the front, and its bars and clubs had been terrorized by a foreigner, one who took offense at every preceding slight, or sometimes not anything at all. Drunkenness was an excuse used at first, as all foreign soldiers and sailors were wont to be. But when the pattern emerged, some doubted that the culprit even needed a sip before wailing at his target du jour. Today he had found himself bloody behind a dumpster, mounted up in blackened and bruised heap that had long since ceded away. He had sent 5 more men to the hospital as they tried to restrain him, before the police had arrived and whisked him away. The mob demanded justice. How many other men and women had been sent to the hospital on account of this monster? But the police held back, not because they wanted to, but because the police the commandant had been told in no uncertain terms that there were superseding circumstances. The crowd roared in fury as a foreign colonel emerged from the building, with a brute followed behind. The psychotic smirk plastered on his face. They pushed against the police line as the foreigners clambered on the waiting car, screaming as they retreated into the distance. Justice wore a uniform in Indonesia, except for those in another uniform entirely. So that's going to be, have we lost? Like, they're going to take the capital in just a second. I think we just lost Indonesia. Like, immediately. So I need you to pull back. Entry 43. Some cop thought it was a good idea to snoop behind the jalopy. So now my skull split open like a watermelon. Well, not actually split open, but you know what I mean. At least I'm baked enough to shrug off the migraine a bit. Gotta hand Carlos where he gets his bud sometimes. We're buddies, so it's no big deal, right? It's no fun grounding yourself in your own house because of an injury. Nothing to do but toke. Watch the bullshit the media shovels. Maybe get around to finishing coursework. Just kidding. I haven't touched a textbook in months. I still just choke and watch bullshit, pretty much. Seeing your mug for a flash second for Cronkite plays his script about hooligans in the streets gets old and thin quick. Eerie thought that I should get a hobby. I say, why bother? All I'm good for is to smoke pot and give myself a concussion for doing a decent thing. That and the army's out of hand me my papers any day now. What do hobbies matter when some warlord in Africa is bound to riddle my chest with lead either way? I can't understand her sometimes, honestly. But I guess that's part of her charm. Her helpfulness and sunny, bright outlook, I mean. In other words, prom's coming up. I can either go stag or I can go with someone. Kidding again. Who's the poor sap who'd want to partner up with a poor old me? But the food's free, and that's all that matters. I'll probably just loiter around and leave as soon as I get my fill of the buffet line. Save the dancing for the phonies lucky enough to have the future. I'll write more as soon as I find something news to talk about. Tomorrow, day after that, next acid trip? Who knows? Peace out, Jules. But I will say with the other disaster in Indonesia, like, we're fucked. Today's going to be a good time for us to end this episode. So if you enjoyed, thumbs up. Not enjoying, you can always thumb down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.